Hello there, and welcome to the Whut the Whut podcast. I'm your host, Dave Johnson. Some people call me DJ, and if you went to West Virginia University in the late 90s or early 2000s, or if you lived in Pittsburgh in the early 2000s, you may know me as DJ Whut. That's right, some random, weird name that I gave myself. It was the 90s. It was DJ Whut. People seem to like it. People still call me that. I'm not always sure about it, but it's my name. I don't use it that much anymore, though. Here's the deal. I really don't know what this is. I just know that I want to do a podcast. I feel like I have things to say. I have so many different interests that I'm going to try this thing out. I'm a pop culture fan, a Star Wars fanatic, a lover of music, video games, and sports. I'm a slight sneakerhead, and a self-professed foodie. So here's just going to be me. I don't really have any guests, although I want to have some guests in the future. I don't know what I'm going to say. I've got kind of have some segments set up, so on and so forth, but I'm not sure where we're going to go with it. And this is going to kind of be just an introduction to see if all this podcast thing works, see if people actually listen. I did like a little poll on Facebook. A bunch of my friends said, yeah, we'll listen, but who knows? We'll see what happens. If you're listening, thanks for coming in. But I don't know. It's just times are weird. The days are weird. I'm trying to do something, a little something, and we'll see how this goes. So just introduction to me. You don't know me. I'm from West Virginia. That's right. West Virginia, West by God, Virginia. Went to school there for college. Got a degree in sports psychology. Went to the workforce. Met my wife in college. She's fantastic. We'll see if she's okay with me mentioning who she is, but you know who she is if you know me. We got a kid. He's 15, which is another thing we may talk about down the road. Don't need to talk about my real job because I don't know how this is going to go either, but I do have a real job. This is going to be the side hustle, if you will. But I just have lots of interests, lots of things to talk about. I'm attempting to be a voiceover artist, and that's not going great. So if you like the sound of my voice and you need a voiceover artist, hook me up, contact me. Let's figure it out. But that's really it. So as we kind of progress, if this progresses, my plan is just kind of talk about myself, talk about my life, do a couple of segments and kind of get things going. So the first thing we would do would be a life update. Right now, life is life. We are quarantining still. It's February. People are saying it's the 14th month of 2020 or whatever, but hey, we're just living our lives. We're doing the things we need to do. We're having a little bit of fun here and there, mostly just watching TV and playing Call of Duty. That's another thing we'll talk about later maybe. And hanging out with the fam. Doing the things that we do. Working from home, living the life. So going forward, life update might be more intense and more interesting, but we're just trying this out. What about sports? So again, we'll kind of start off with get to know me a little bit. So I am a New England sports fan, period. When I was little, I was an Army brat for a little while, moved around a lot. One of the last places we ended up was up in New England, in Massachusetts. And so that was around the ages of 6 and 7 when I started paying attention to sports. And so I'm a Patriots fan, love it or hate it. I'm a Red Sox fan, love it or hate it, because baseball and football are two of the main sports I pay attention to. I'm cool with the Celtics. I'm cool with the Bruins. Lived in Pittsburgh for a while. Also grew up in Morgantown, West Virginia, which is near Pittsburgh. So I'm also a Steelers fan. I know that's kind of weird with the Patriots, but it is what it is. So I'm a Pirates fan. Again, not usually a big problem because only when they play each other, but Red Sox come first and Patriots come first. But the real thing for me is soccer. I'm a soccer guy. I played soccer when I was younger, up until about the age of 11. Then I got big. Somebody gave me a football, and so I played football in high school, but it is what it is. I like soccer better. So I cheer for the Revolution and MLS when I'm paying attention, but I mostly watch the Premier League, and I cheer for Tottenham, and I picked Tottenham strictly because I thought it was cool to say Tottenham, but I stuck with it, and here it is, and so that's who I pay attention to. So soccer and football, then baseball. I like all our sports, but not a big thing with sports anymore. Basketball was never really my thing. I'm cool with the Final Four. Otherwise, I watch college sports only when it has to do with West Virginia University because that's my alma mater. But, it's cool. Sports are fine. Super Bowl's coming up today. Whenever this comes out, I don't know, but the Super Bowl is today. So I'm rooting for the Bucs strictly because I think it'd be hilarious if Tom Brady just wins another championship because he's my age. That's right. I'm Tom Brady's age. We'll see how this goes. So that's kind of the sports news. Every once in a while, hopefully there'll be a segment on sports. when we're up here doing this. What else? The other sport, though, that I do pay attention to, and you're going to love this, I'm a wrestling fan. I love it. I love professional wrestling. I have since I was about 11 years old. It's one of the few kind of things my dad did do for me is kind of introduce wrestling to me. And I love it. I love the WWE mostly, right? So one of the other things I might do on here is a wrestling wrap-up, if you will. Or I'll talk about how wrestling went over the week or two in between whenever I do a podcast, maybe, right? Right now, I pay attention to WWE. I watch pretty much every Monday night. Sometimes I watch Wednesday nights, and then sometimes I watch Friday nights, and I watch pay-per-views here and there. It's not like a thing that I live and die for, but I enjoy it. It's like my little soap opera, right? It is what it is. Right now, for me, who's my favorite wrestler if we want to talk about it? It's Randy Orton. Listen, I love the RKO. I think it's hilarious. He entertains the hell out of me. He just goes out there, does his thing. You like him, you hate him, you love him, whatever it is. He has this ridiculous move that it's impactful every time. I watch to see if it's going to come from out of nowhere whenever that happens. I just really, really, really think it's hilarious. So that's what I do there. I think Keith Lee is great. He's up and coming. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. I even watch the ladies' side. Bianca Belair won the Royal Rumble. It's going to be fantastic what she does with herself. So who knows? So if wrestling's not your thing, maybe you don't pay attention to the wrestling wrap-up section of my podcast. Maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe you learn to find something else. Maybe you get into it. Maybe you see if you like wrestling. Who knows? Again, I don't know where this is going to go. What else do? I like to game a little bit here and there. I'm an old school gamer back in the day. Had the regular, the Nintendo, the Atari, the Super Nintendo. Didn't have a Genesis. My cousin did, so we played his Genesis when that was coming up. Then I became a Sony guy. So I had the original PlayStation 2. Shifted over to the Xbox 360 just to try it out. Didn't like it as much. Now I'm a PlayStation 4 guy. I'll get a 5 one day when I can afford it because I don't make that much money. So who can afford another gaming system when I don't really need one? But right now, I pretty much just play Call of Duty. That's all there is to it. When I'm gaming, I'm on there with Call of Duty. I have a couple friends I play with here and there. So if you like to play Call of Duty, if you want to hook up and play with me, by all means, let me know. Contact me. I'll give some contact information down the line of this deal right here. But contact me and let's see what's going on. I love to play. I love to have a good time. I play Animal Crossing as a calm down kind of area for me. The wife plays, the kid plays. We sometimes just want to relax and play Animal Crossing when I'm not, shooting people on Call of Duty. But who knows? It's things that we do. But if you got a game I should try, by all means, let me know. But pretty much I just do it to just not think about things and just listen to people whine and cry on there. It's hilarious. It just cracks me up for sure. So again, there'll be a gaming update, maybe part of the things we do on this podcast. Let's see what happens. What else? Let's talk about the one thing that I really do love. Obviously, besides my wife and kid. Yes, I love you guys. The reality is, I have a Star Wars problem. My wife calls it a Star Wars problem, and that's what it is. I love Star Wars. I've loved Star Wars since it came out way back at the same year I was born. The first time I watched it sometime in the mid-'80s. Watched them all. I love it. All things Star Wars. I don't care how bad it is. It just entertains the hell out of me. So this podcast will have a portion of the Star Wars briefing where I'm going to talk about Star Wars. It is. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. But I just love it so much. I just think it's the most fantastic thing ever. If the movies are on, I'm watching them. What's the best movie of all time? It's Empire Strikes Back. That's just how I feel about it. And listen, if you don't like Star Wars, that's cool. But if you've watched The Mandalorian at all recently on Disney Plus, The Mandalorian is one of the best television shows ever made, period. Even if you're not into Star Wars, it's just entertaining. If this is the direction that Star Wars is going, I am down. But I read the books. I'm into. I collect figures. Yes, I do. I totally collect Star Wars figures and whatnot. I've got all kind of whether it's Pops from Funko, whether it's the Black Series. Yes, complete Star Wars nerd. It's a thing that makes me happy. And I'm allowed to be happy. So it's a thing that makes me happy. Hopefully you have that thing that makes you happy that you let yourself just do. Star Wars is that thing for me. It just makes me happy. My wife is fantastic enough to indulge me in my little Star Wars hobby. Buys me things, lets me buy things, doesn't get upset with me with things. And I have a lot of hobbies, as you can see. But she's cool with it. And my kid, what is important to me, loves Star Wars too. It's the one thing that we kind of bond on. We have always for a while. He's 15 going on 16, but we still watch Star Wars stuff together. And that's a thing that's important to me. I like lots of pop culture. I'm a Marvel fan. I used to collect comic books, still do some stuff here and there, but I like Marvel. I like DC. I like pop culture. I'm a geek at heart. I'm never going to deny that. It's just who I am. It's the things that I find fun, right? So on this podcast, I'll probably talk Star Wars here and there. One of the plans is to kind of give out an email address for people to kind of give me some topics to talk about with the things that I've talked about so far. And if it works, it works. We'll see what people think, what we do, what we want to talk about. I really don't have anything to say, or I don't really know what I'm going to say, right? Hopefully I'll have some guests. If this thing works out, it's probably going to be easier if there's more than one person here. I have somebody that I can talk to also that might be more entertaining. I don't know how entertaining I'm going to be. We're going to find out soon, I guess. Who knows? What else? What else could we do with this podcast? I said I was a slight sneakerhead, and that's true. Listen, that's a thing that comes from when I had a job in high school and college. I worked for Finish Line. Hopefully you probably know what that is. And so I got into shoes. I love shoes, but not crazy about it because I can't afford it. It's not a hobby that I tend to spend a lot of money on. So I've turned my hobby into something else when it comes to sneakers. So I'm an Adidas guy. Used to be a Nike guy. My favorite shoe of all time was the Air Diamond Turf, Deion Sanders shoe from the 90s. I even played football in that shoe. That's one of my favorite shoes of all time. I love 90s shoes. So my new thing now is and it came out of nowhere. I just found this $30 pair of Adidas old school basketball shoes that I fell in love with and started looking into Adidas young ones on Amazon. I got cheap. So my new ridiculous thing is looking for Adidas shoes, typically 90s and 80s inspired Adidas shoes for under $50. It's a dumb hobby. It's something so ridiculous. Who cares? I care. I think it's a fun thing for me. Again, we try to find things that are fun for us, things that entertain us, things that make you happy. I work really hard. I have a job that's very difficult, and one day we'll talk about it. Right now, it's not the space. So the things I do when I'm not working are important to me, and I need them to make me feel happy, things to get away from, things that make you happy. And that's important. Your work-life balance is important. Hopefully you can get there one day where you have the ability to do that. I've been there when I couldn't do that. Right now I'm in a place where I can, and I appreciate that. This podcast is going to be another part of my work-life balance. Hopefully it'll be entertaining. I like talking. I used to be a DJ. Again, it's something we might talk about down the line. I like to talk. I like to say things. I'm not as social as I used to be. So I need this kind of outlet to be a little bit social, and I hope that people respond, and I hope it'll be a part of it. So my new sneaker hobby is that thing. Another one of those things that makes me happy, whether it's wrestling or Star Wars or sports or gaming, pop culture, whatever it is. I have things that make me happy. I have a lot of things that make me happy. My wife and kid make me so happy, of course, right? So all these things you need to do, whatever is important to you. You know what else makes me happy? Is food. Now, if you know me, you're already well aware of this. I'm not exactly a small person. I never have been. Definitely gained a little bit more weight during COVID. Working on that right now. But I love food. Not just that I love food. I love to make food and cook. I'm no chef. I'm not trained. But my mom and my grandmother, my Italian mom, my Italian grandmother, they taught me how to cook early on. My grandmother taught me some old school recipes. My mom taught me how to make food with whatever you got there. And so I appreciate all those things. And so I cook. Cooking makes me happy. Again, it's a thing that I love to do. And now that we're home, I'm working from home because of the pandemic, I cook all the time. It's part of the things that I love to do. Right now, I'm really into iron skillets. I don't know why. It came out of nowhere. I'm cooking as much as I can with iron skillets in an iron Dutch oven. Cast iron Dutch oven. And these are two things that I've had. The Dutch oven is new. My mom, who's awesome again, got it for me for Christmas, and I've been using it so much. And I just like to cook. I like to try new things. Yes, Italian is probably the thing I make the best. I like to try new things. So one of the segments on here is going to be food talk. I'm probably going to call it something silly like DJ Cooks What? Because, this is the Whut the Whut podcast, right? And so who knows what we're going to do? But I'm probably going to talk about a recipe that I made that week or recently that I really enjoyed. So for example, I told you I got my new cast iron Dutch oven. Enameled, fantastic. Works out great. I'd never really cooked a full chicken before. I make the turkey almost every year for Thanksgiving and have for about 15 years now. So I wanted to try a chicken. My wife loves roast chicken. I like roast chicken. My kid loves roast chicken. So did it in the cast iron Dutch oven. And it was fantastic. Don't know where this had been all my life. Chickens are not expensive. It's like $5 for a chicken that'll feed my family of 3, a little bit more for your larger family, and it turned out great. So one of the things maybe on here is I put together a recipe that I did for that week. Talk about it a little bit. See if you enjoy it. You can try it out. Don't have the recipe in front of me right now. Again, we're just talking about possible topics to talk about every month, or not month or week. I don't even know how often I would do this. It depends if it works out or not. But DJ Cooks What? Another segment we might do. So what do we got so far? What have we talked about? We've got the life update, where I just kind of talk about what's going on right now. We've got sports news, where I may talk about sports if something exciting and interesting happened that I care to talk about. There's probably going to be a wrestling wrap-up, where I may talk about what's interesting to me in the wrestling for that span of time. Gaming, if there's something that's important in gaming that I want to talk about, there'll be a gaming update. There's probably going to be a Star Wars briefing of some kind all the time, even if I just say Star Wars. That's the briefing, whatever. We might do the sneaker snapshot, where I'm going to talk about, did I find something new from the sneakerhead area? Did somebody send me something I find interesting? Did I want it? What am I looking for? Can you send me something? We may talk about sneakers. Who knows? Because I like it. I think it's just fun, right? Then there'll be some food talk, the DJ Cooks What segment, right? How are we going to say that? DJ Cooks What? Whatever. People like to holler what to me all the time. It's always fantastic. So we'll talk about some recipe and see where that goes and see if people are interested in that. And then there'll be probably some random topics. We're just going to call it the random topic segment, where I'll just talk about something random. I don't even know what it's going to be. Who knows? But it'll probably have to do with alcohol because, hey, listen, in my time in the pandemic, I have started to look into and enjoy different types of alcohol and cocktails. I'm a bourbon guy first. Recently getting into gin. So maybe I talk about a new bottle that I got this week that I tried out, whether it's bourbon or gin or vodka or rum, whatever it is, and we'll talk about what that looks like. Right now, I highly recommend the Negroni. If you don't know what Negroni is, look it up. Get you some Campari, get you some gin, get you some vermouth, and enjoy yourself. Trust me, it's not for everybody. A little bitter, but they're delicious. All right, so what's the last thing we're going to talk about? Well, obviously, I told you earlier, one-time DJ. Haven't DJed in a while. Last thing I did was I did one of those online Facebook streams for funsies when the pandemic first started. People have been asking me to do it again. It's kind of the pain in the rear when it comes to doing it on Facebook, so I'm trying to figure that out. But I still love music. I love music. Music is very, very important to me, not just because I'm a DJ. It just kind of always has been. So we'll probably do a music talk segment where I sit down and talk about what am I listening to? What do I miss? What are the things that I like about music, right? So, for example, right now, I mostly listen to 80s and 90s music, mostly 90s music, and not just 90s hip hop. Like, I like all the music, whether it's Biggie and Tupac, whether it's East Coast, West Coast hip hop, or is it grunge? Is it Nirvana? Is it Foo Fighters? Is it Weezer? Is it Dave Matthews Band? I like all that stuff, man. I like all the music. I like classic rock. I like Fleetwood Mac. I like Queen. I like Led Zeppelin. I just like good music. Newer music, yeah, it's okay. I appreciate good new music. I like SZA right now. I like The Weeknd. I like Run the Jewels. Like, I do enjoy some of the new music. Not so, trap music, new hip hop. It's fine. It's cool. I'm down with it. It is what it is, but it's not my thing, right? I like reggaeton. I like J Balvin and Bad Bunny. I just like all the music, right? And so every week, or again, I don't know how often we'll do this, but we'll probably talk about what kind of music do I like. If you think that's interesting, let me know, right? Maybe we'll see what kind of music is out there that I enjoy, that you enjoy, and we'll try stuff out. I'll tell you what I'm listening to. Maybe I listen to an album every couple of weeks, and I talk about that album, and whether it's an old album or a new album, and re-listen to it, and we discuss it. I don't know where this is going to go. This may end up being just about one of these many topics I talked about. I just know that I want to talk about something, right? And the last segment, I would say, probably of every show is going to be the What the What top six. So the What the What podcast, the point here is it's about all the things. It's about nothing, but it's about everything and all the things. And so the last thing we'll do is a top 6. Why the number 6? It's my lucky number. It's just something different. It's different than top 5, top 10. We'll do top 6, right? Because every time we do a top 5, there's always that one more that you want to pick, right? So every week I'll pick a topic and I'll give you a list of my top 6 of that topic. And we're going to do one today. I actually have this one set up, right? And we just got done talking about music and how important it is to me. So I thought it was important to kind of discuss what is my favorite albums. What are the What the What top 6 albums of all time? for me, for Dave. What does that look like, right? So I'm going to go down the list. At number 6, I'm going to give you Michael Jackson, Thriller. I don't care what you think about Michael Jackson. I get it. We don't celebrate him, or maybe you do. I don't know. But the Thriller album is one of the first albums that I ever purchased. As a matter of fact, it is the first album I ever purchased with my own money. At a Strawberries in Georgia, I think is where it was at. I believe might have been, maybe it was in North Carolina. I can never remember. I just know that it was a Strawberries. I bought the tape, the Thriller tape, right? And I listened to it all the time on, I think what I had at the time was one of those brown Play School tape players. And that's just what I had. And that's what I listened to. So this album is important to me. And it still slaps. If you listen to it right now, front to back, it's just a great album, right? Number 5, maybe a curveball for some of you, maybe not, is Dave Matthews Band Crash. It's just a good album. It's an album that meant a lot to me in college. I listened to it all the time. It was a good driving album. And still to this day, I listen to it if I'm in a car or going on a trip. That album I like it. It just calms me. It soothes me. I enjoy it. At number, what do I hear? We get 6. At number 4, another one may throw you for a loop. Rage Against the Machine's first album. It is my workout album. It is my anger album. I love it. It's their self-titled debut. I just love Rage. I don't know what it is. Actually, I do. It's just sometimes you want to be angry and you just want to feel that and let it go. So I love that album. I have a side love for metal music. Whatever it is. I may even be a Limp Bizkit fan, but don't hold that against me. Just sometimes you just enjoy things, right? But I love Rage Against the Machine, and that album was important. It was fantastic. It was angry, and sometimes you need that. And again, looking at the curveball that is music that I love, the next album is D'Angelo's Brown Sugar. That's just a good album, right? That is a great album, fantastic R&B music. I love D'Angelo. That's a baby-making music album. You know what I'm talking about. And that's just one that I love. I love it so much. Love that album. Fantastic. That's my number 3. My number 2 is the hip-hop album, Outkast, but it's Southern Playalistic, Cadillac Music, their first album. You may know Outkast, and you may know Sorry Miss Jackson and Shake It Like a Polaroid Picture. You know Outkast, but if you haven't listened to their first album when they first came out, I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. It's the album I listened to the most in high school. I love that album. I listen to it still now. It just makes me happy. It's a fantastic album. Now, before I give you my number 1, and many of you know me, maybe you know what it is, I'm going to give you some honorable mentions. There's Weezer, the Blue Album, good album. There's, Notorious B.I.G., Ready to Die. I mean, come on, both Ready to Die and Life After Death are classics. Love those albums. Fleetwood Mac, Rumors. Again, if you're not familiar with Fleetwood Mac, get familiar. Get online. I was going to say pick up the Rumors album, but just, now we stream music, right? God, sometimes I'm just an old school head, right? And listen to Rumors. It's a great, great album. It's fantastic. It's enjoyable. Get down to it. And then I'm gonna cheat here with a greatest hits album, Al Green's Greatest Hits. Whew, come on now. Come on. Old school R&B at its finest. One of my all-time favorite songs is Let's Stay Together. Oh man, another great album. Cheating for greatest hits, but whatever. I stand by it. I stand by my decision. I said what I said. But I'm going to end here with the top 6. So the Whut the Whut top 6, the number 1 album, according to me, of all time is Prince's Purple Rain. I mean, I don't really need to say much more than that. It's just today, even right now, if you've never listened to the album front to back, please do yourself a favor. Find it right now. Get online, whether you're Spotifying or you're doing Amazon Music or Apple Music, whatever you're doing, your iTunes. Just listen to Purple Rain, the whole album from front to back. It is fantastic. I have vinyl. I love vinyl still. I still buy vinyl. It's another one of my silly hobbies that I have. It's my favorite one. It's just the greatest album of all time. It's never going to be not that for me. I don't know what to say about it for sure. So yeah, the Whut the Whut top 6, right? Michael Jackson's Thriller, Dave Matthews Band Crash, Rage Against the Machine's first album, the self-titled album, D'Angelo Brown Sugar, Outkast Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, and then Prince's Purple Rain, the greatest album of all time. And so the Whut the Whut top 6, who knows what our topics will be? Again, I'll ask for feedback. You tell me what you want me to give you the top 6 for. We'll see what it is. It could be anything. Is it albums? Not just albums. Is it songs? Is it movies? Is it genres? Is it comic book characters? Is it people? Is it, I don't know, is it best French fries? Is it best fast food restaurants? Is it best sci-fi franchises? The possibilities hopefully are endless of the different things that I could tell you how I feel about the top 6. And maybe I need to go more in depth on some things and prep myself a little bit again. But this is kind of like the pilot episode. We'll see where I'm at and how I feel about things, and we'll see where it goes, right? And lastly, when I sign off of these things, my plan is this. We're going to end each podcast with a question. Throw it out there to the listeners. And I'm expecting and hoping some responses so I can go through whatever the answers were to the question last time. And the questions I'm hoping are just going to be ridiculous and silly. And the first question I'll give you when we end things out here is going to be a doozy, I think. It's one that, that I got from my niece, and it just makes me laugh. And I think that it's something that I want to know how you guys feel about it. It might maybe even controversial, right? So the question is this. Are you naked if you're just wearing socks? That's it. That's the question. I want to know your opinion. I want to know how you feel about that. Do you feel that you're naked if you're only wearing socks, right? So give me a response. We're going to have an email address set up at whutpod@gmail.com. So that's WHUTpod@gmail.com. Send me an email, right? Answer the question for me. Tell me, do you feel if you're naked if you're just wearing socks? Give me some feedback, right? What do you guys think what other lists can I do? What other top 6s can I do? What other things can I talk about? What segments do you think are dumb? We don't want to talk about them, or what topics do you want to talk about in those segments that I kind of gave you? Listen, again, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know where this is going to turn out to be. I'm hoping that people are interested. I'm hoping that people might want to listen, and we can maybe even focus it down to other things. I'm hoping they can be longer. I didn't know how long this was going to take, but not too long. I don't want to be a 2-hour podcast. Ain't nobody got time for that. But I want to be a 30-minute to an hour podcast maybe. And again, it depends on what we're talking about. And it depends if I have a guest or not. If you're interested in being a guest, hit me up, right? whutpod@gmail.com. That's right. It's spelled wrong, right? WHUT pod@gmail.com, because that's what we did. It was the 90s. So on the Whut the Whut podcast, we name things, we spell it incorrectly. WHUT, right? Well, that being said, that's all I have to say today. Again, I hope this goes well. I hope you enjoy a little bit. Hear the Whut the Whut podcast, the podcast about nothing, but also about all the things. I hope to hear from you. I hope to see you again. And other than that, enjoy yourself. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Thanks for listening.